Hello, it's Robert Leonard, Realtor and Buyer's Agent. I'm here at my live online home buyer seminar I'm doing. And we're going to talk about ways to close on a home quick and easy. Yes, it's possible to close on a home quick and easy using government benefits you're entitled to. What you'll have to do is to get an approval letter first from a lender. Once you get an approval letter from a lender, you can look at homes and make offers. Once again, it's Robert Leonard, Realtor and Buyer's Agent, doing my online live home buyer seminar. And I want to help folks in the community learn how to buy a home quickly and easy. Now, it's pretty easy to buy a home. What you'll need to do is to get an approval letter from a lender. The lender will give you an approval letter that will allow you to go look at homes and make offers. So what you'll need to do is to gather the documents that a lender will require in order to get you approved. The lender will need to see your last two pay stubs, your last 2 years W-2 and tax returns, and they'll also need to see your last 2 years W-2 statements. Now, a buyer can always go to irs.gov if they have any problems with getting their tax statements or any of that. You can go to irs.gov and fill out 4506T, and that allows the lender to get the tax returns and the W-2s directly from the IRS. So you'll need to get your pre-approval letter from a lender. A pre-approval letter will allow you to have a simple one right here. I also have a link on the side here of my message where a person can click on this link for Mark, and Mark will try to get you approved using a government benefit loan that you're entitled to. So once you have your approval letter, I advise buyers to try to see how many programs they can get approved for. I advise you to see if you can get approved for a FHA loan and a conventional loan, just to see if there's a difference in the terms. And then once you have an approval letter, we'll go look at homes and make offers and see if the seller accepts the offer and agree to schedule closing. There's several tips I would give regarding looking at homes. Whenever you're looking at homes, it's best to, excuse me, shut the door there. Whenever you're looking at homes, it's best to try to look at homes during the week if possible. During the week, it's limited competition. There's a limited amount of people looking at homes during the week. So if you're looking at homes during the week, you have less competition, and you can give the seller a window of time to accept your offer. If you're looking at homes during the week, you give the seller, I would advise, if I'm your buyer's agent, I'm going to advise my buyers to give the seller 1 day to accept your offer. Okay. If there's a limited window of time and the seller has 1 day to decide whether or not they're going to accept the offer, they may take the offer if it's the only offer on the table. So just some tips to give buyers whenever you're going out and looking at homes. Another thing you can consider is to get a home that has extra spaces in it that can serve as a bedroom. For example, I grew up in a home that was 3 bedroom, 2 bath, but it had extra spaces that could serve as a bedroom. So if you get a home that's 3 bedroom, 2 bath, but it has a family room, a den, and all these extra rooms, some of those rooms, and a study, all these extra rooms can be used as a bedroom. You could put a door in the closet there, and maybe you could have another bedroom. So always look at homes that maybe have one less bedroom than what you're looking for, because if the home has a whole bunch of extra spaces that can serve as a bedroom, that may open up more properties to the buyer. Another thing to consider whenever you're looking at homes is the taxes and the HOA. I advise buyers to get homes with low taxes and low HOA. If you consider, let's say if you pick out a home that's $4,800 a year in taxes, 4,800 divided by 12, that's $400 a month just going for the taxes. And that's before you even touch anything on the house. So if it's possible, I advise buyers to get a home with low taxes and low HOA. Another thing to consider whenever you're buying your home, you should always look to see if it's in a flood zone. The flood insurance could go up every year. Uh, so that's one thing to consider. Or the flood insurance carrier, they may give you a rate that's cheap one year, but the next year they can try to raise the rate. So always consider whether or not the home is in a flood zone. Another thing you want to consider when you're looking at homes is the price per square foot. You should look at the comps to see if it's going to comp out that. Because if a buyer's wanting to buy a home and the home doesn't appraise, then you're going to have a problem. You're going to have to go back to the seller and ask the seller to reduce the price to the appraised value, or the buyer can go pick out another house. But yeah, the price per square foot is something to consider whenever you're looking at homes. You don't want to pick out a home that's overpriced and it won't appraise, and that way, you're going to have a problem. Now, one way you can try to overcome low appraisals is to get a renovation loan. If you get a renovation loan, uh, they have to appraise the home at the after repaired value. So the after repaired value, as you're allowed to have different inputs and calculate net formula. So I advise buyers to get a renovation loan sometime if you feel like the property may not appraise for that high. That way you could, you know, have a chance at the after repaired value meeting the appraisal requirements. Another thing to consider whenever you're looking at homes is, of course, the taxes and the homeowner's insurance and the HOA have to all be included in the monthly payment. Um, I also advise buyers to look at newly remodeled homes. There's some mastercraft remodelers that can do a better job than a cookie cutter new home. So, some of those new homes, they may have the bare minimum features, but these remodelers, they'll go in there and remodel a home and put top of the line granite, top of the line wood, oak cabinets, beautiful floors. And sometimes those homes are just like a new home. If you're going to get a newly remodeled home and you're the first one to live in there, to me, that's just like a new home, especially if it's been remodeled all the way down to the studs. Remodeled, new roof, new AC. There's a lot of investors out there that are trying to put out a quality product. Another thing to consider whenever you're buying a home is once you have your approval letter, you go look at homes and make offers. After you make the offer and the seller accepts the offer, there's several steps that have to be taken before the deal can close. The buyer needs to make their good faith deposit at the title company, and that's where the closing is going to be. The good faith deposit at the title company allows the seller to see that you're serious, and allows the seller to keep staying in the process to help you close on a home. Once you make that good faith deposit at the title company, that's where the closing is going to be. The next step is for the buyer to make their inspection. There's several types of inspections the buyer can get whenever you want to close on a home. Inspections, that's one area where if you're not careful, the buyer can lose money. Uh, the two main inspections that are required, in my opinion, are the whole house, not whole house, but the 4-point inspection and the wind mitigation inspection. Those two inspections are going to cover uh, and allow you to get a discount on the insurance. The whole house inspection, that's good, but that's just a technical term that inspectors use to charge more for that kind of inspection. But the 4-point inspection covers the roof, the AC, the electrical, and the plumbing. It covers those 4 areas. So the 4-point inspection and the wind mitigation inspection, depending on the age of the house, usually are the best inspections to get. A whole house inspection is good too, but if it doesn't include the 4-point inspection and the wind mitigation inspection, I would advise buyers to get a whole house inspection. Uh, Make sure you get those 4 points inspected: the roof, the AC, the plumbing, and the electrical. Those are the 4 main things. Okay, now once you have the inspection, the next step is the appraisal. Uh, I've sold more homes than you can count on your hand. I got all kinds of stories about appraisals. Uh, Regarding those appraisals, I had to meet the appraiser there sometime to help the appraiser, get into the property. Um, so the appraiser, they go out and do a assessment of the property to determine the value. And I have a problem sometimes with appraisers. Back in the day, if you look at how redlining and all that kind of stuff occurred, uh, the appraiser sometimes was the one that stopped the deal from going through. So you always be mindful that an appraiser is a third party that could make sure that the buyer has a buyer's agent on their side. Sometimes the appraiser comes out with a lot of repairs that need to be repaired, and the seller says, "No, I'm not gonna fix these. I'm not gonna fix anything." So it all depends on kind of like the relationship that the buyer's agent had with the seller's agent and how bad the seller wants to sell the house. Uh, so then, once the property appraises, then the buyer usually has to submit their documents one more round into the underwriting department, and then they get cleared to close. And then once you get cleared to close, it's your house. You go to the title company, you sign a few papers, and then the buyer receives the house. The payments typically don't start until 30 to 60 days after the the closing, and also you usually have about 30 to 60 days to move in after the closing. So those are some tips I like to mention for my online home buyer seminar. Give me a call, 941-400-2833, or send me an email to robert@homeseminar.info if you'd like more information on closing on a beautiful home here in the Tampa Bay area, quick and easy. Thanks for your time, and have a great day.